Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This is the Sikh History Series podcast, Season 5, Episode 5, The Shaheedi of Baba Moti Raam Mehra. Following the Shaheedi of the Chote Sahibzade, Baba Zorawar Singh Ji and Baba Fateh Singh Ji, their bodies were thrown into the jungle for wild animals, jackals, dogs, crows and vultures to scavenge on. But a huge lion appears, and in that jungle he stands watch over their bodies and looks after the young Shaheed Singh bodies. Mataji was Shaheed in the Thanda Burj, and Todarmal, a local Sikh jeweler who is quite wealthy, sets out to perform the final funeral rites of the Sahibzade and Mataji. For the bodies of the Sahibzade to be cremated, through his connections he manages to persuade the Mughals to sell him land space to allow him to do this, and he sacrifices all his wealth to perform this righteous service, because in order to do this he has to offer enough gold coins to cover the ground area for the cremation of the bodies of Mataji and the Sahibzade. And for the sanskar of the two young Sahibzade and Mata Gujari, the land was purchased by placing gold coins in a vertical position over the required space. This was one of the most expensive land purchases ever recorded throughout history. A total of 7,800 gold coins, worth roughly 10,800,000 rupees, during that time were put in that vertical position to achieve this lot in Chaudhry Atta's land. Todarmal, his younger brother Nagarmal, and Baba Moti Raam Mehra prepared the sandalwood funeral pyre for the cremation, and the bodies of Mataji and the Chote Sahibzade were cremated with great love and much respect by these loving Gursikh. Jyoti Swaroop Gurdwara Sahib now stands at this spot where this took place. Later on, the Mughals find out through the brother of the treacherous Gangu Bahman, Bamma Langa, that Moti Raam Mehra Ji, with love and affection, provided and served warm milk to Mataji and the young Sahibzade while they were in the Thanda Burj, against the orders of the Mughal Sarkar and the government to keep them starving. Upon hearing this action, Wazir Khan became very angry. Enraged and beside himself, he orders the rest of Baba Moti Ram Ji and his family immediately, and they are beaten and tortured and interrogated. And Baba Moti Raam Mehra was summoned to the court of Wazir Khan, and in that court Baba Moti Raam Mehra is fearless, for he remembers the Sahibzade, and entering the court he also says Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. He tells Wazir Khan he did provide hot milk to the Sahibzade and Mataji, and if the time came he would do it again, and he would pay the ultimate price to perform this seva. He states his father Hara Ramji travelled to Anandpur Sahib, met with Guru Gobind Singh and became a member of the Khalsa Panth after receiving Amrit. He became Baba Hara Singh, and he was Shaheed fighting the Mughals in the Battle of Anandpur Sahib. He confirms he is a full devotee of the true Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, and he will remain so till his last breath. Baba Moti Raam Mehra's uncle, his chacha, his dad's brother, was Bhai Himmat Singh Ji of the Panj Pyare, who was Shaheed fighting valiantly in the Battle of Chamkaur Sahib. Wazir Khan was infuriated. He orders Moti Ram to convert to Islam or face death. Baba Moti Raam Mehra ji, being a Sikh through and through, loyal to the Guru, accepted Shaheedi, accepted to be martyred, and accepted to preserve his faith. His wife, Bibi Poli ji, his 80-year-old mother, Bibi Lado ji, and their young son were taken along with Baba Moti Raam Mehra ji to the oil mill, and Wazir Khan ordered an executioner to arrive and ordered him to crush Baba Moti Raam Mehra's young son to death in the 2 tight rollers in the oil mill, crushing every single bone in that child's body before Baba Moti Raam, before his wife, the mother of the child, and before the grandmother of the child. The sound of the baby's bones being crushed and skull being crushed was horrific and harrowing. It was something that cannot be described by words. Everyone who was there looking on was holding their breath and wincing at this horrific, brutal sight. But Baba Moti Raam ji saw this as the kirpa and will of Waheguru. He and his family get to preserve their faith, their dharam, and walk on the path of Shaheedi shown by the Chote Sahibzade. Next, his 80-year-old mother and then his wife were crushed to death between the tight rollers, which were used to crush small seeds into oil previously. Now they are being used to crush human bodies, flesh and bone. The drum used to collect the oil was filled with blood, the crushed bone powder, the marrow, the mush of muscles and ligaments and bodily organs. Baba Moti Raam Mehra ji was firm in his dharam, and he kept the name of Waheguru on his lips, heart and mind. And he knew this body and this world is just temporary, and dharam lasts forever, as does the name of Waheguru. And once his infant son, his elderly mother and his wife were killed before his eyes, the turn came of Babaji to be crushed to death and murdered in this way by the Mughals. And thus he and his family attained Shaheedi. They earned an eternal status in this transitionary world. And on hearing about this, Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, Moti Raam is my beloved Sikh. I shall forever be indebted to this great deed of his. And when I sit in my eternal throne, Moti Raam will sit beside me. And when I merge into the formless in Sachkhand, Moti Raam will always remain close to me. He shall be the necklace around my neck, my honour, and then he will always reside close to my heart. Moti Raam is amongst my most distinct and loved Sikhs, and he shall forever remain in the Guru's charan. Guruji, on hearing about the Shaheedi of his Sahibzade, uproots a weed from the ground with the tip of an arrow and states the Mughal Empire has now been uprooted. And 6 years later, Baba Binod Singh Ji Nahang Singh, the Jathedar of Buddha Dal, leads the attack on Sirhind, joined by Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, all sent with the blessing of Guru Gobind Singh Ji from Nandair. They attack and they conquer Sirhind on the 24th of May, 1710. Like a typhoon, the Khalsa attacks, burning the whole city to the ground. The city was turned to rubble, just as the Sahibzade had said. The Mughals were defeated. Wazir Khan was tied behind a horse and paraded through every single street and road and lane in Sirhind. He died like the dog he was, screaming and crying in the streets in which he had committed so many great paap and sins. Suchanand was made to beg around with a beggar's bowl, and he died after getting countless shoe beatings and kicks to the face, crying on the floor. He died a much deserved miserable death. Bamalanga, the brother of Gangu, who snitched on Baba Moti Raam Mehra, was kicked and hit by shoes. Later he was tied with a chain and dragged around till he died, receiving shoe beatings from everyone in the face and head. Sasham Beg and Basham Beg, the executioners of the Sahibzade, were killed by the Khalsa, as were many, many other of the Mughal tyrants and oath breakers. Because it is the words of Guru Nanak that Raj Karega Khalsa. And this is the end of this season of the podcast. Please forgive any and all mistakes made during this seva. And I beg you, please do ardas, may it continue with the grace and kirpa of Waheguru. May we tell these sakya of our brothers, of our mothers, our fathers, our shaheeds, Singhs and Singnia till our last breaths. And share this with all your friends and family and the young ones, the children. Bol chuk maaf karna ji. Vaheguru ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki Fateh.